Alright, camera systems. So I've created something that doesn't look too nice and neat. This is just bare bones camera system. But if I press E on this monitor here, you can see that I have access to 3 cameras. They're just parts that are just floating there right now. Let's get into the explanation. So essentially, I just have groups inside of groups. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if I click on the whole thing, you notice that it appears like the whole thing's grouped together. But if I ungroup it just once, I find that the rest of the parts are grouped together. It kind of kicks this one out, right? If I keep doing that, as you can see. The camera themselves are just receiver 9s, and the monitor is just a receiver 8 grouped to a receiverless part. Cameras are a little bit strange because they kind of work a little differently. Now let's get into the build. So you're going to start out with one part. This part's going to be your monitor. Now Town does something weird here. I've noticed that for some reason cameras don't work if the monitor isn't a group in itself. So I'm just going to add a regular part, and then I'm going to group them together later. This part isn't going to have any textures. It's just receiverless. So Town doesn't get angry that the monitor is just one part. Okay, now your cameras. Your camera's actual feed is going to come from the front side. So you could use the decal or texture tool to kind of like click around and see what the front side of the part is going to be. Remember that your cameras and the monitor have to be the same color to work with each other. Now, I'm just going to duplicate this. Let's have one that's kind of angled like that just for fun. Now let's get into wiring. So click on your monitor part. You're gonna add a texture to the front side. Make sure it's on the front. Set the transparency to -500. This basically lets Town know that it's a wiring part. If you don't set your transparency to -500 for anything that's related to wiring, it doesn't work. So you always need to set transparency to -500. Now you're gonna come over here to this little thing that says repeat. Set the first repeat variable, the one on the left, to 8. This lets Town know that this is classified as a monitor part that corresponds with camera part. You're gonna leave the other variable alone, as I'm pretty sure it doesn't change anything. Now group your monitor part and the receiverless part. Remember, we didn't change anything here. Just group them together. Now let's get into the cameras. All cameras have the same texture / receiver settings, so just select all of them by clicking on one and then shift clicking the rest, so it changes all the settings. You're gonna add a texture to the front, set the transparency at -500, always do that, and set the first repeat variable on the left to 9, so it tells Town this is a camera part. Once again, you're gonna leave the other repeat variable alone. Now to make it work, you have to do something interesting. You don't group everything together in one big group. You add the cameras individually to the group. What do I mean by that? Watch this. I'm gonna select my monitor group and select one of the cameras, and I'm gonna group it. I'm not gonna select anything else, just it. Now with this new group selected, I'm gonna select another camera and group it. Now with this entire group selected, I'm gonna select this camera and I'm gonna group it. So if you want to keep adding cameras to each other, you keep doing that. So if I add another camera, I would select that and select this big group and group them together. Okay, now I'm gonna do the command !WC to wire it together. And if I go into here, as you can see, oh, that's me right there. It works. I can use Q and E to cycle the cameras, and I can hold right mouse button to zoom and look around, and R to go into this thermal looking view, and left mouse button to exit. Thanks for watching.